This content is brought to you by the Workshop Experience, where insight meets implementation. Today's conversation is only the beginning. It's drawn from a larger workshop inside our private leadership community. Each workshop culminates in a ready-to-deploy digital toolset, interactive dashboards, forecasting models, workflow automations, stakeholder maps, diagnostics, sales assets, project management frameworks, mini CRMs, an ever-expanding arsenal designed for immediate, real-world impact. These tools are released under our sister brand, Ascend Intelligence, Beyond Business Intelligence. Built directly on Google Cloud Platform and Google Workspace, Ascend Intelligence delivers enterprise-grade reliability, security, and AI-powered analytics, giving you a strategic edge from day one. If today's topic resonates with you, know that the full workshop is already on our shelf or slated for release, and we can open it to you on request. Reach out and claim the Ascend Intelligence tool that turns today's ideas into tomorrow's results.
Magus,
A whisper through the
void.
catalyst,
Igniting change. One
spark at a time. Media, shaping
Shaping worlds, telling truths.
and now
Now the story
begins.
Hey, welcome to the conversation. I was speaking about the ability to see patterns in our data, specific financial information. And not only see patterns, but to then articulate a narrative based on those patterns. Whether it's a volatile year in which revenue increased significantly and then decrease significantly, or whether it's a steady growth year, how those talk about the story of the team or the story of skillfully or unskillfully being able to navigate through market forces. How those tell a story perhaps about being distracted or being unfocused or not knowing what your core competencies are. Could you speak about that?
Absolutely. When we look at data, especially financial metrics, we're not just observing numbers on a spreadsheet. We're uncovering a narrative about the business. Each fluctuation, whether it's a spike in revenue or a sudden drop, tells a story about what's happening behind the scenes. It's a reflection of decisions made, strategies employed, and challenges faced. By articulating these patterns, leaders can communicate not just the what, but the why behind the numbers. For instance, a year of steady growth might highlight a strong and focused team. Conversely, volatility could indicate external pressures or internal misalignment. Understanding and communicating these insights through storytelling makes the data relatable and actionable for everyone involved.
Would you be able to walk us through a case study or a story about maybe what a company is going through and how that's reflected through their financial reports?
Of course, let's consider a hypothetical company. Let's call it Tech Solutions, Inc. This company specializes in software products for small businesses. At the start of the year, their financial reports show a steady upward trend. This reflects strong initial sales of a new software product they launched. The narrative here is optimism and market acceptance. The team is energized, the marketing strategy is working, and customers are responding positively. Mid-year, we notice a sharp dip in revenue. The story behind this drop could be linked to an unexpected market shift. Maybe a new competitor entered the field, or there's a technological disruption that requires the team to adapt. This dip tells a story of resilience. The team now faces a challenge. How do they pivot and innovate to regain traction? By the end of the year, there's a recovery, revenues climb back up. This signals that the team successfully adjusted their strategy. Maybe they introduced a new feature or found a niche market. The narrative now is one of adaptation and learning. The financial reports are not just numbers, they are chapters of a story that reveal how a company responds to its environment. This case study shows how financial data can reflect the story of a company's journey, its highs and lows, challenges and victories. And for a strategic leader, understanding and communicating this narrative is crucial for guiding the team forward.
In contrast, this dip could also identify maybe kind of something volatile. Maybe leadership or management are stumbling about trying to find their way. This dip could be perhaps the loss of a key employee or the loss of a key stakeholder or a lack of true leadership or guidance. And then the incline could also represent, in contrast to your case study, could also that we found our strategy, that we kind of moved beyond beginner's luck because things were happening. It seemed like kind of like we're winning at at in the casino on at the blackjack table, and then all of a sudden, you know, the rug is taken from underneath us, and we lose our traction or footing, and we're not sure why. Right, so then we stay in this sort of dip for a long time or for several months, and we figure out our footing. We figure out, oh, we were doing this, we weren't aware that we were doing this, that was contributing to our success during the peak months. So this is another way to tell a story. And it's not about perception, but it's about how we can begin to allow the narratives, the unfolding narratives about company structure, economic trends, local trends, to really inform that story, so that it's rooted and grounded in truth, versus living just in our heads. As somebody who might be on the outside looking in, it really takes a significance, this story, when we're able to take external situations, external narratives, to help it to inform this unfolding narrative. Would you speak to that?
Certainly, external narratives and situations have a profound impact on how we interpret a company's story. For instance, if an entire industry is experiencing a downturn, a company's financial struggles might be seen as understandable or even inevitable. On the other hand, if the broader market is thriving and a company is underperforming, that contrast paints a very different picture. Similarly, external events like economic recessions, geopolitical shifts, or even global pandemics can reshape the narrative. A company's response to these external factors can define its reputation. Are they agile and innovative in the face of adversity, or do they struggle to adapt? From an outside perspective, these external narratives provide context. They help stakeholders, investors, and the public interpret the company's performance. It's a reminder that no organization operates in a vacuum. The external environment influences and shapes the internal story we see in the data.
And to your case study, I was contrasting how you had articulated a dip in annual revenue in your case study, and I was articulating that perhaps this could be due to a lack of leadership, a lack of correct strategy, maybe a key employee left the company. But there's all sorts of interpretations that one can get when we look at a dip, but it's allowing this sort of external data source, narrative data, to inform the unfolding data, the unfolding story that we're looking at, to better to find better conclusions, so that our story just doesn't live in our heads. Could you speak to that?
Absolutely. When we analyze a dip in revenue or any significant change in data, it's crucial to consider multiple perspectives. Internally, we might jump to conclusions about leadership or strategy, but external narratives provide essential context. For example, a dip might coincide with broader economic conditions, shifts in consumer behavior, or even a key partner or supplier facing issues. Bringing in these external data points helps us form a more comprehensive and accurate narrative. It prevents us from making hasty assumptions and helps us understand the true drivers behind the change. This richer context leads to better strategic decisions because we're not just reacting to isolated numbers, we're responding to a holistic picture. That's how we ensure the story we tell, both internally and externally, is grounded in reality.
Would you be able to provide another case study or even look for a real business case study on this sort of financial reporting and how it reflected their narrative?
Certainly. Let's consider a real-world example. Macy's recently uncovered $151 million in false bookkeeping entries. Despite these errors, the company chose not to withdraw old financial statements, raising concerns about the materiality of such discrepancies. This case highlights the importance of transparency and accuracy in financial reporting.
Hmm. And how did that affect perhaps stock prices, or how did it affect market response in this story?
Macy's accounting scandal had an immediate impact on the market. After they disclosed the $151 million in hidden delivery expenses, their stock price dropped by over 10% in pre-market trading. Investors reacted strongly to the delay in their quarterly earnings report and the lack of transparency. Although Macy's stated that these errors didn't affect their cash position or vendor payments, the market response reflected a loss of investor confidence. This example shows how financial misstatements, even if they don't directly impact cash flow, can significantly influence market perception and stock performance.
That's right. So let's back out just a little bit. If we had no idea about this Macy's occurrence, what might we see when we look at their financial reporting, or perhaps their stock prices in this respect? So articulate that, and let's back out of it, and then let's retell that story.
Sure, if we were looking at Macy's financial reporting and stock performance without any knowledge of the accounting discrepancies, we might notice a sudden drop in stock price and wonder about the cause. Financial reports might show inconsistencies or delays in earnings, but without the context of the disclosed bookkeeping errors, we might attribute this volatility to broader market trends, seasonal fluctuations, or strategic missteps. From an outsider's perspective, the narrative might revolve around operational challenges, shifts in consumer behavior, or competitive pressures. We'd be trying to piece together a story based purely on observable financial metrics and market movements without the crucial internal information about the false bookkeeping entries. Once the true cause is revealed, the narrative shifts dramatically, illustrating how internal transparency is vital for accurate external interpretation.
That's wonderful. So the importance here, the skill set that we want to be able to walk away from and develop separately, is just our ability to look at patterns and then to find the narrative in that data, so that when we're talking to a prospective client, partner, somebody of significance, that we can look at their data and we could kind of begin to assemble this story on our own, and then allow these surveys, or allow external narratives, other data sources, to better inform our narrative. But it makes us very sensitive to this unfolding story. It's kind of like you're sitting on the edge of your seat, or playing investigator or journalist, to be able to then clue in, to be able to focus in on developing the rest of the story and then proving your hypothesis. This is their story. Now, how do I prove it, or how do I disprove it? But this is where I'm at currently. And then this is what I will suggest to them based on this narrative that's found throughout their data. Could you speak to that?
Absolutely. Developing this skill of reading the story in data is like becoming a detective. You're not just crunching numbers, you're interpreting patterns, uncovering clues, and piecing together a coherent narrative. This narrative helps you understand a client's journey, identify potential challenges, and propose solutions that are rooted in evidence. When you approach a prospective client or partner, having this narrative in hand allows you to engage them on a deeper level. It shows that you understand not just their data, but the context and implications behind it. You're able to offer insights that resonate with their experiences and highlight opportunities or risks they may not have seen. This investigative approach, forming hypotheses, testing them, and refining your understanding, makes you not just a consultant, but a trusted advisor. And it ultimately empowers you to craft strategic recommendations that align with the real-world narrative unfolding in their data.
Wonderful. And with that, we're going to close the conversation. Thank you very much.